as far back as Teosinte.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
that's
far
what I
she
was
went
wondering.
back. That's how far she
You're
went
talking
back.
like about a bush.
Yes. It
Yeah.
looks more like wheat than corn.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jake Fostenkemper, Director of Agronomy Research here at Liqui-Grow.
Hi, I'm Katie Hess, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Liqui-Grow. Dr. Jake, it's nice to see you back in the office.
Thanks, Katie.
I know you've kind of been on the circuit the last couple of weeks and months. You spend a lot of time hosting some farmer meetings, sitting on some different panels for organizations, and then also I know you're a member of different committees, which is great for us. It keeps kind of a pulse on the industry.
Yeah, it keeps me informed on what's going on in the bigger landscape, which is important.
Sure, so why don't we just kind of look back and see what you've been working on.
Yeah, okay, so the last couple days I was down in Champaign, Illinois for some NREC events, okay, and I'm going to explain what NREC is. So NREC, I'm an NREC board member for the state of Illinois, and NREC stands for the Nutrient Research and Education Council, okay? So farmers and or ag retailers pay a fertilizer checkoff. So for every ton of fertilizer that is sold, $1 of that cost per ton goes to a fund. Okay, and then that fund in Illinois is used to fund research specifically on nutrient stewardship. So everything that we fund through NREC, every experiment that we fund through NREC has a nutrient stewardship focus to it.
So how do you choose those experiments and what you should be working on?
Well, we invite researchers from all over Illinois as well as states that are close to Illinois because sometimes they collaborate across state lines. We send out a call for proposals. So what we believe as an NREC board, researchers should be looking at regarding nutrient stewardship. And a lot of those ideas come from surveys that we send out that farmers participate in. So
don't throw the surveys away.
Yeah, don't throw the
Fill them
surveys
out,
away.
send them back.
If you want to have your voice heard, we do that through several different surveys that we do throughout the year.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us what you learned the last few days down at your NREC conference.
Yeah, so at the NREC conference, what the conference is all about is we invite all the researchers to come in and present. It's open to the public, anybody can come, farmers can come in fact, and there were a few farmers there. But the researchers present to the NREC board and the public what they have done and found using NREC funds, right? So it's a lot of it's about transparency. And there were a couple projects that I found pretty interesting. They're all interesting, but a couple projects I want to point out. We'll start with the kind of maybe not so practical one first, and then we'll finish with the practical one, okay? And when I say that, when we fund research, we try to fund a mix of research. We fund research that is interesting, might be able to have some breakthroughs when it comes to sustainability, but maybe it's 10, 15 years down the road.
Right, so when you're saying practical, you just mean it's not practical for today.
For today.
But
correct.
It's the next stepping stone to getting
correct.
some progress made.
Yes. It's innovative, interesting research that could have a big impact, but there's a could, okay? And then we try to find research that could have an impact tomorrow, right? So we try to have a mix. And so one of the projects we funded that was very innovative and forward-thinking, we thought, we funded a project through Dr. Angela Kent. She is a microbiologist / geneticist at the University of Illinois. And she had this idea that modern corn genetics don't recruit the correct microbes in the soil to use nitrogen as efficiently as they could, okay? And it's getting deep, I know.
So are you saying that maybe we've focused so much on yield and standability that just through all this modern breeding, some of this natural stuff that was happening, we've maybe kind of accidentally softened that?
Yeah, that's right. So, we have been applying nitrogen fertilizer to corn for a long time now, right? And so breeders have been breeding for corn that has a lot of nitrogen fertilizer applied to it, okay? And giving food to the microbes in the soil, right? Because there's root exudates, there's carbon that leaks out of the root system that feeds microbes. That costs something, right? So naturally, with time, higher yielding genetics don't rely on those microbes anymore to provide for that nitrogen cycling, that mineralization in the root zone, right? So that's what she's found, okay? So she had this idea that maybe some of our more ancient lines, some old hybrids or old inbreds might be able to recruit a community of microbes that do a better job at nitrogen cycling and provide more into the crop via all those cyclings and systems that go on the root system.
When you say ancient lines, are you talking like from the 40s, or are you talking about like
Well,
when they brought corn across the border?
I will give you, so the recordings aren't done, but to see all the detail, Angela Kent's presentation will actually be available online at some point. It's going to be a little while before it's available, but at some point perhaps we can get the video out there. But the bottom line is you can go to Illinois NREC website at some point in the future and see her presentation. My understanding is she has went back and looked at multiple different ancient genetics, okay? But honestly, she went as far back as teosinte.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how far
what I
she
was
went
wondering.
back. That's how far she
You're
went
talking
back.
like about a bush.
Yes, it
Yeah.
looks more like wheat than corn.
Yes.
Okay, so she went that far back. This is a deep dive.
Okay.
And yes, she did find some genetic backgrounds that are older that recruit microbes that are more likely to do some positive things when it comes to nitrogen dynamics in the soil. And I'll give you one example of what that is. Okay, so the microbes that modern corn plants recruit do a pretty good job at converting ammonium to nitrate. Okay, and that can be both good and bad. It can be good because we get rapid N available, but when you get rapid N available in the nitrate form, what can happen? Leaching or denitrification. So modern genetics recruit the microbes that turn that ammonium into nitrate, and that can be a good thing, but one of the negatives is once it's in the nitrate form, it can be lost to leaching and denitrification. Okay, what she's found is that some of these older genetics, and remember this is kind of about nutrient stewardship too, some of these older genetics recruit microbes that are less efficient at converting ammonium to nitrate. Okay, so that means if you have less nitrate in the soil, the potential to lose it is less also. Okay, the other advantage is that ammonium doesn't have to be reduced. Nitrate does, and that takes energy for the corn crop to reduce it. Okay, ammonium doesn't have to be reduced, so when ammonium is taken up by the corn plant, it is immediately available for use, and there's no energy required to reduce it back to ammonium from nitrate. Okay.
Okay.
So, all this said, she's taken this to the next step because the next question is, can you isolate these specific traits that do this in the soil, and can you backcross it into modern genetics and not have a yield penalty?
Or fall down.
Or any negative characteristics associated with it, because that's a big if, okay? But what she found, and she just presented this, is she has been able to backcross these specific traits into somewhat modern germplasm. And some of you might know the old number B73.
That's what I was thinking, like Missouri 17 and
Yes,
B73.
B73. And so
yeah.
those two varieties are often used, hybrids are often used in stuff like this because those two hybrids are very well understood.
Mhm.
Okay, so she was able to get these traits integrated into B73 in particular, and there was no yield drag. So that's a very good indication. Okay, so the next step is, can you get these traits integrated into even more elite genetics, and will there be a yield drag? So that's kind of the next step. Okay.
How long has she been working on this project when you say she was able to do all of this?
Yeah, my understanding is she's been at it about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
There's a couple different, maybe a little bit longer, there's a couple different projects that we funded that have been along these same lines. I think about 3 or 4 years.
So Dr. Jake, just my head always goes straight forward. So
Yeah.
how does this help
So
our nitrogen stewardship?
yes, so
On the farm.
the ultimate end goal would be, if we can put these traits in a corn that slows down, if we can put these traits in a corn that recruits the right microbes, that slows down nitrification, so the transformation of ammonium to nitrate, if we can keep more of that nitrogen in the ammonium form longer, we would lose less nitrate because nitrate is susceptible to leaching and denitrification. And it's possible that you may have to apply a little less nitrogen to these corn hybrids because you're not losing as much nitrogen. But I say that's possible.
So
There's so much to learn.
you said this study and this project she's working on isn't practical, but you mean for right now.
For right now, yeah.
But it sounds like a great project.
Yeah, going forward, it could be very practical.
It sounds like these dollars are really being spent well and utilized appropriately to help the generations to come.
Yeah, and to be fair and honest, she said that it could be 5 to 10 years before she's able to hand this off to the big breeding companies. So.
Okay, Dr. Jake, so let's give the folks something that was more practical that they could even maybe use this spring or sooner than 5 to 10 years
Okay.
that you're funding.
Okay, so remember, everyone, and you, that everything we fund has a nutrient stewardship emphasis, okay?
Right,
We're not gonna get
that's
into.
the N part.
Correct, absolutely,
NREC.
yes. We're not gonna get into all the details of 45Z here today, but if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I would encourage you to just Google 45Z and learn about what 45Z is, okay?
And that's including cover crops into your operation and getting a tax credit.
Correct, and the tax credit could be reasonably substantial with this 45Z program. We're probably not talking $10, $15 per acre, we're probably talking $40 to $50 per acre. I mean, it's gonna be quite a bit more aggressive than what we've seen in the past.
And that kind of flows through the ethanol channel.
Industry down to the farmer.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. Okay, so if 45Z takes off and you wanna participate, what you're gonna find is that you're gonna probably want to raise a cover crop before corn, because that's how you're gonna get.
Well, that's a very challenging subject and
Yeah.
task to do sometimes, especially in our part of the world.
Yes, it can be challenging, absolutely. And that's why NREC has been funding lots and lots of research over the last 10 years, trying to understand how a farmer needs to change his management to raise good, high yielding corn following a cover crop, okay? And we could talk for hours about all the stuff we've learned. But one of the things that we learned recently is, we've known this for a while, but if you're gonna raise corn after cereal rye in particular, you almost need to treat the corn like it was after a previous crop of corn, even if it was after soybean.
Sure,
Okay.
well, cereal rye is a grass, corn is a grass.
Yep.
And corn and cereal rye and corn, kind of the same idea.
Yep. And what we found is that just like if you were growing continuous corn, you really need to apply 30, 40, 50 more pounds of nitrogen to that corn crop if you had cereal rye in front of it to maximize yield.
Right.
Okay. Now, what we recently found is that if you have good sulfur fertility, you may not need that extra nitrogen.
Okay.
There's some very important nitrogen and sulfur dynamics and interactions that we don't fully understand, but we know they're important. Okay, and we know, from all the stuff we've talked about on this channel, we know that sulfur in general is really important for corn, but it looks like it's even more important if you're growing corn after cereal rye.
And this is something we learned this last week, or they presented on at the NREC conference.
Absolutely, yep. So that needs to be investigated further, but what I can say for sure today is that sulfur is important, but it's even more important if you're growing corn after a cereal rye cover crop. Make sure you don't skip on the sulfur, and make sure you're applying sulfur if you're gonna plant corn in front of cereal rye, for sure.
Okay, Dr. Jake, is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks?
I think we went over our 5 minutes, so.
But we do have some exciting news. Dr. Jake is going to be at the Commodity Classic next week, and you'll be speaking on, I believe, Thursday in the afternoon.
Yep.
So look them up if you're out there. You'll also be at the booth for TKI,
Correct.
which is our sulfur partner,
Yep.
and that will be on Wednesday, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yep.
so Wednesday you'll be at the booth, and Thursday you'll be speaking.
Maybe we can do an update about what I learned at the Commodity Classic when I get back.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Have a great time and have a great trip, and we'll see you when you get back, Jake.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay in the know with Liqui-Grow.